good evening, good evening, good evening, and welcome back to Friday Night Live with the Soul Citizens. And we are here tonight with our wonderful Soul Citizen Gigi. You had this look on your face like after that, that news I gave you, you were not happy, but Gigi is here tonight with us. And, well, you were here 2 weeks ago, right? Yeah, 2 weeks ago? 3 weeks ago, now I think about it. Yeah, yeah, because last week it was. I'm getting a little bleed from you from somewhere. I don't know where. Last week it was me and Kimmy. The week before that it was Kimmy and Fastcart, and then I think you were here the week before. So it's been 3 weeks. So it's good to have you. Good to see you.
Good to see you too.
Okay, cool.
I mean, I was just on Soul Citizen, so it's not like I've been that far away.
Yeah, but I'm at Friday night. You weren't doing the late night thing. You were doing the early evening thing before. And we also have secretly lurking in the background another Soul Citizen, the great Colossal himself, but he's muted. So I don't know if he's going to be just listening or if he's going to jump. He'll probably jump in the conversation at some point, but Colossal's here too. But hey, we want to say welcome to all you guys for joining us tonight. It's a Friday night, another week. We are, what, mid-September now? Is that right? Yeah, mid-September. God, everything's going by so fast. I know, to me, it's like I can't even tell what time of year it is anymore. After this whole COVID thing, I don't know what's going on. But yeah, listen, we are doing something new again. We did this a couple weeks ago. We're doing our giveaway. Gigi, you want to tell them a little bit about the giveaway, what we're going to do tonight?
So we're gonna have a special word for you guys, and whoever says a special word in the chat will get a gift. Yay!
Yes.
So you'll be entered into a raffle and win if you say the special word in the chat.
But you got to say it in our chat, in the live chat. So that means you got to come in. Yes, you got to come in with us in order to get the giveaway. And the prizes will be, what did I say it was going to be? Soul Citizen shirt.
Soul Citizen shirt, a Soul Citizen's mug, or a Soul Citizen's mouse pad.
There you go. So you get some of that swag from us. You get to pick which one you want. So yeah, and very cool. Colossal, does this mean you're here with us? I see you unmuted. Are you here? Okay, he just unmuted. He did something weird. I don't know. But anyway, again, welcome everybody. It's good to see you. Red Wolf. Oh, Red Wolf's here. Okay, very cool. Good to see you.
Hey, Red. How you doing, buddy?
Awesome. Well, we've got a show chocked full of stuff tonight. Wow, where do we begin? There was a lot of stuff that happened over the last week with Chris Roberts. We're not going to talk about that. Not that we're not interested, but everybody and their mother's been talking about it all week, and you guys already know about the responses that Chris has made with Camaral and them talking about the development of the game. But we are going to talk about something else that came out, and that was, for those of you who know, we have community what do they call them? Community reps. Tyler Whitkin is one of those people. And we have another one named Molly. And Molly posted some information the other day. It was posted on Spectrum. And this was the title of it. It was called Alpha 3.11 Rest Stop Armistice Restrictions Update. And so I am going to attempt to read this as quickly as possible. And again, you guys can find this in the forums under General. It's pinned at the top, so you can't miss it. But this is what it says. Coming at you with another update as we get closer to 3.11. Like we mentioned before, teams are putting forth I'll skip all that. In tomorrow's roadmap update, a card will be added detailing the relaxation of armistice restrictions, beginning with Alpha 3.11. We are allowing ship combat in armistice zones around all rest stops. The caveat is that it's ship combat only. So in other words, there's no FPS. Okay, so to give you that. I'm skipping down a little bit. We want to give you a bit of a deeper look into what the changes are that will be made alongside with armistice relaxations so that once again, you'll get what's coming up. So here's the 4 points that they mentioned about this. So basically, guys, armistice is going to get lowered at rest stops. But there is some stuff there that's going to happen with this. First, there will be destructible defenses of a few sizes and varieties that have been added and around the rest stops. These range from the small S4 turrets that are now destructible, placed on landing pads through the S6 Centuries seen in the Claim Jumpers missions, to all the new S10 turrets on and around the perimeter of stations. Once destroyed, these currently respawn after 5 minutes, subject to balancing. But in the future, we aim to improve this realistic, simplistic system. So guess what? You can't shoot in around rest stops at people, but there are going to be guns all over the place, including S10s. We have not even seen an S10. An S7 will literally one-shot you. An S10 will, I can't even imagine what an S10 is, but let's just say be very careful about firing a gun or firing on someone if you're near a rest stop. Number 2, we've created a security response system, which, while still simplistic, it adds the crime stat of all players in the area. We're calling this internally heat, and spawns security ships of increasing number in strength and response. The system responds quickly to increase in an area's heat by spawning new ships and despawning out any weaker ships that they replace. The system responds slower to the killing of its own members should the heat not be raised by this, and slower still to decrease in heat to keep the security patrolling for a time to ensure that the threat does not return anytime soon. We will develop the system further in the future to also take into account the type of ship the players are using. So think about this. For those of you who are EVE players, you will remember if you killed somebody in high sec, basically the security forces would show up and they would basically blow you away. You might get away, but in most cases they killed you. This is going to be the same thing in Star Citizen, except the difference will be if there's just one of you being a bad guy, there will only be a certain amount of security ships that show up. If there are 4 of you being a bad guy, they're going to multiply that exponentially on how many security people show up, and they will be in full force. And it says that even if their ships are weakened, they'll spawn those ships out and bring in ships that are at full power. So in other words, you don't want to fight the police. That's basically what it's going to come down to, the popo. Number 3, a new infraction has been created called the Armistice Violation. This is a felony, and it is given should players damage other ships or station defenses within the Armistice Zone. It does have a grace period and allowance in which the player is warned that further infractions will result in a felony for the first implementation. For this new infraction will only remain active in the player's criminal record for 1 day. So if you decide that you're going to blow up one of those guns on this rest rehab so that you don't get shot by it, you get an infraction. If you keep doing it, you move to a felony. If it's an infraction, that means that basically you're going to pay a fine. If it is a felony, you go to prison. So keep that in mind. And then lastly, should the player enter the Armistice Zone while having a crime stat or gain a crime stat while in the zone, they will be shown a warning telling them that they need to leave immediately. And I think that they used to have something like that in the game earlier, but they took it out. So, Gigi, I had to start with this because I know you have a certain feeling about the Armistice Zones, and I wanted to get the funky news out of the way first to see what you thought, whether you thought this was a balance, good balance, terrible.
Leave it alone and just leave the Armistice Zones there. I don't see the point. You're creating all this extra stuff when you could just leave the Armistice Zones. I don't get the point.
Do you think that this will keep people from firing on people? Do you think?
No, I do not.
You think people will still do it?
Yes, I do, because griefers are griefers, and that is what they do.
Okay. All right. Fair enough. Colossal, are you there? Okay, I thought I saw him light up a couple seconds ago. All right, you guys chime in on chat. Let us know what you think. Do you think this will be a deterrent enough to keep people remaining in good spaces? Or do you think that this is going to be something that people are just going to say, what the heck? And I know this is an evolving thing. This is just the first iteration of it. It's not going to be perfect, but I am curious as to think if it'll make any difference at all, or whether or not you feel it will restrict people. So that's it. Mazzo says, too bad the turrets are so bad due to decent. Yes, that is true. But like at least S10s, if they even get lucky shot, they'll put potholes in your ship. Absolutely. Okay. Dingleberries, good to see you. Good to see you. Good to see you. Okay, so that was that piece. Let's jump into our next piece. And this is going to be talking about Ship Showdown. You guys know that this is Ship Showdown's second year that they've done this, where CIG puts other ships against certain ships and then the community votes. And then at the very end, they pick the ship that they think is best. And of course, it can vary. It started last week, and they've moved into the second stage of it. So I'm going to go through this a little bit for you guys who haven't seen where it was in the beginning and talk about where it is today. And then you can chime in your vote if you want to. By the way, don't forget, you can come on the show live with us. If you click on the link that is in Discord, there's a little box on our About page that says Friday Night Live. If you click on that link, it'll put you in our our queue, and then we'll bring you into the studio with us, and you can talk with us and share your thoughts as well. And don't forget, we've got that raffle going on. If you say the secret word, you will win some Soul Citizen swag. So let's jump into it. GG. First two ships that they opened up with was the Carrack and the Reclaimer. Do you have a favor on either of those, or do you just kind of go with where they're at right now? Because they said that the Carrack won. What's your thoughts on those two?
I'd probably actually go for the Reclaimer.
Okay. Is there anything in particular about it that why it stood out for you more?
Not really. I know everybody loves the Carrack. I'm just not necessarily a large fan of the Carrack.
Ah, gotcha. Okay. Fair enough. Fair enough. Okay. All right. After that, it was the and right now the Carrack is the winner. That one won the other day. The day after that was the Caterpillar versus the Prospector. Okay. And
I'm angry at this because if it's not the Prospector, I want nothing.
Okay. Fair enough. Fair enough. The Caterpillar won in that category. Let's see. After that, it was the Gladius versus the Banu Defender. What about that one, Gigi?
I'd take the Defender.
The Defender? Okay. The Gladius won on that one. The next one, the Hammerhead versus the Eclipse. Hammerhead, 6 people, Eclipse, Stealth Bomber. Which one do you prefer?
Eclipse.
Okay, the Eclipse won on that one. That one's up for vote today, in fact. And then, I'm sorry, you know what? I'm sitting here talking and not scrolling. I am so sorry. Please forgive me, because I'm sitting here reading and I could be letting you see. The next one after that was the Cutlass Black versus the Constellation. Cutlass Black won that one.
Cutlass, definitely.
Okay. The Avenger versus the Reliant. The Reliant Core.
Avenger all day.
Avenger all day. Okay. And then the Prowler versus the Valkyrie.
The
Valkyrie. Okay, that one won. And then the 890 versus the Razor.
I'll go with whatever's not Origin.
Shots across the bow, Colossal. Hey, welcome, Colossal. How's it going, buddy?
It's going well.
Good. Good to have you with us, man. Good to have you with us. Okay, guys, we're going to go back to the top of this list here. Now we're going to start matching up and see. Let's see if Gigi can get the predictions right for what's going to happen on these next ones. Now, we already know one of them. It was the Carrack versus the Caterpillar, and the Carrack won that one, okay? Let's go to the next one. Gigi, the Gladius versus the Eclipse. Which one you going to call? Gladius versus Eclipse.
I'm going to call that they went Gladius, even though I went Eclipse.
Okay. Colossal, what's your vote?
I'm all about the Gladius.
Gladius? Okay. Gladius, all right.
Yeah.
All right, tomorrow's vote will be the Cutlass Black against the Avenger. Gigi, Cutlass Black Avenger.
As much as I love the Titan and I would choose the Titan, they're definitely going to go for the Cutty Black.
Okay. Colossal?
Yeah, they're going for utility. They're going for the Cutlass here on this one.
Okay, I got you. Let's welcome Mazzlecast. Mazzlecast just joined us. Mazzle, how are you doing, buddy? Oops, I got to take the mute off of him. Oh my God, I keep forgetting. Oh my God. There you go, buddy. How are you? Mazzo. We're not hearing him. Huh, his mic is lit up, but we're not hearing him.
No audio for you, buddy.
Yeah, we're not getting audio for you, my friend. And you are unmiked. Let me bring you out and bring you back in. Hold on. Okay. All right, we're still not hearing you, Mazlo, even though you are green lit. Do me a favor. I'm going to put you in general. See, Red Wolf's up there. Let's see if Red can hear you. All right, I'm going to come back and see he's got a technical difficulty. Red, I'm not sure if you're in general because you want to come on the show. If you are, don't go to our general. Go to the Friday Night Live link that pops up. In fact, it just popped up in our chat box. Click on that, and that'll take you to the right space. Okay, and the last but not least category, Valkyrie versus 890. Valk?
I just don't think enough people even have an 890, frankly.
Okay, good point. Colossal?
I mean, you got some super big wigs that might choose the 890 on this one. I think I mean, I'm gonna go ahead and push for the 890. Although I think the Valky's gonna win it, but I'm gonna push for the 890 on this one. Going 890.
You're going 890. Okay, interesting. All right, so we're going to see next week how this all pans out. Those were pretty good guesses. I mean, there's some tight ones here. Out of all of these ships, if you had to say which one will be the winner, GG, between the Carrack Caterpillar, Gladius, Eclipse, Cutlass Black, Avenger Titan, Valkyrie, and 890. Which one do you think will be the winner?
Cuddy.
Cuddy Black. It is a popular ship. Colossal?
It's not even
Never heard
close.
a bad word about it.
Oh well, it's not even it's not even close to Carrick.
I am
It's
not even
not a Carrick
close.
fan by a stretch, so
Not
Okay.
there's a
even close.
Well,
plenty of people like me who might vote
let me
for
ask you
Cuddy.
another question because no, you guys mentioned two different angles here. There's a ship that we would want to win or you would want to win, and then there's the ship that you think the community will vote for. So let me maybe put it in that perspective.
I would love for the Titan to win. I would love for the Titan to take everything,
It is a popular ship.
but
Yeah,
I don't think it will. I think it'll be the Cuddy.
I think the community will go for the Carrick. The Carrick wasn't in the last round, and so, but I think the community will go for the Carrick on this one.
Okay. Mazel, stand by. I think I know what the problem is. Hold on one second, buddy.
Yeah, I wouldn't be surprised. I mean, it's just, I've seen too many people fly that ship, too many people enjoying that ship. Um, I mean, they love what Gigi's choice is, the Cuddy, but I mean, based off of what the carrot can do and how much the carrot can haul and how powerful the carrot is and how much the carrot can withstand,
Mm-hmm.
I just hands down, I think the carrot will wipe the slate on this one.
Okay. That's the community vote. Mazel, how about now? Give us a try.
Mic test.
We hear you. You sound so good. Thank you,
Yeah.
my brother. Good to have you along, man. I know
Missed
you're
a lot of that, but I guess we're talking about Carrick and ultimately
overall
Yeah,
vote.
man. Yeah, man.
Now, look, is that your overall vote, or is it yours and the community's overall vote? Would you have a preference
This
for
is
something
gonna-
else?
Is community. Probably community. I mean, let's be honest. The Carrick is spectacular for all the reasons that were just listed. But, beyond that, just like the gameplay, the practicality that's kind of offered in the verse with the med bay, snub fighter storage, vehicle storage, like it's just like it really is like the Swiss Army knife in the game right now.
Interesting.
Yep.
Interesting.
And not even say about the three cargo bays down there, and two of them are modular.
Interesting. All right, I'm going to give you guys a counter to that. I'm going to say that it's only winning that because that's what the community does with it. But I guarantee you're going to see some of that stuff shift off no later than when the Mercury Star Runner pops out. I guarantee you, because right now that is an exploration ship. People are forced using it, just like they did when the 890 came out. People were cramming fighters into it and cargo, and then guess what? Carrot came out, all of a sudden it shifted. So my thing is, in the long haul, that ship is not going to be the best ship. The ship on this list, and I know you're going to laugh when I say this, think I'm siding with Gigi, but I think the Cutlass, because the Cutlass remains the same no matter what. You can use it for multiple people. You can carry cargo. It's a good fighter. It's nimble. It's small. It can fight really well, and it's that way no matter what ship comes out.
Wait. So are we talking like best ship
That's
overall? Or are we
that's what
talking
I personally
community?
think. No, that's personally. I agree with you on the carrot community wise. That's why I said for right now it's the flavor of the month for community. But I guarantee you the flavor is going to change. That's all I'm saying.
I mean, maybe, but like let's look back at like what other ship has had the same level of hype that the Gib Carrick, has had. I have never seen that. I've been around.
The next one will be the Banu Merchantman. Guarantee you.
I'm a Banu Merchantman owner. I'm really excited for the Banu Merchantman, but I just don't see it getting the same level of hype. Carrick is like legendary status.
Yeah, I agree. We will see. I agree with you. Community-wise, I agree with you guys 100%. Community is going to pick the carrot because that's what everybody for multiplayer, especially multiplayer, jumps into, and it's the go-to ship right now. But I just think the community is going to change up. I don't think that it's going to remain that later on, where I see the Cutlass. People still use Cutlasses all the time, no matter what. They use it.
Yeah.
The price point, everything is right about that ship that people use it. So we'll see. You know,
Go ahead and die outside of the cut.
I don't know, man.
Point well made. Point well made.
You responded.
Point well made. Red Wolf.
I got rid of my cut list.
You did?
Yep.
Wow.
Yeah,
I will say this. I got rid of mine to get something else, but I want one back. In fact, only thing I have is a red, and I want my blue and my black back. And I'm just going to work for them in game. I'm making myself not buy them, but because their price is so low, it's worth working for them in the game.
Oh yeah. What is it? 1.3 million or something like that?
Yeah. Dirt cheap compared to other ships. You know what I mean? Bigger ships. Red Wolf, I don't know if you're trying to come in with us or what. I know you're in general. If you're trying to come in, you got to use the link that pops up. Otherwise, if you're just hanging out there, that's cool. We have no problem with you being over there in general. Okay, so let's change the channel a little bit. Many of you guys know that, or some of you may have heard, that one of our community family, Wickstrom, this week it was announced that his health, he was not in best of health, that his health is failing. He's been wrestling with cancer over the last, if I'm not mistaken, 2.5 years, and an announcement went out letting the community know that basically his diagnosis was that it was not very good for him in this very short time for him. And so one of the things we want to do for tonight's show is we want to raise awareness for him for cancer, and also there's a GoFundMe that has been created by his family. His mother basically had to stop working in order to basically take care of him. And so there has been no big income coming in, and they've got about $75,000 in medical bills. When I looked at this earlier this evening, they were around $2,700. They've already gotten up to $5,000 now, and I know I was just listening to Captain Richard a little while ago. Somebody donated $1,000, so the money that he's collected hasn't even gotten here yet. So we want to dedicate tonight's show to Wickstrom. I met Wickstrom in 2016 when we were at in Los Angeles for the Citizen Con. And I've just heard stories over and over about him in relation to how he was one of the earlier people who helped other people, particularly content creators, build their selves where they are right now. And he's been a very well-known person in the community. We hadn't seen him very much on Twitch recently because he had moved over to Mixer, if I'm not mistaken, about a year ago. But he was still around, still streaming. But he was also battling with this issue that he had as far as his health. So I want to run a very quick video. We're going to cut and change this a little bit here, our graphics, and we're going to run a little video that Disco put out. People have been going to his Discord and leaving him messages, and his family has been relaying those messages. So we're going to run that video in a few minutes. I'm going to do the ISC first, and then we're going to come back to it. But that's kind of way to lay the groundwork for that. We're also going to see a link that points to the GoFundMe page for Wickstrom's family. If you see that in the chat, my suggestion is that you donate through that page, because all the money that you donate will go to their family. If you happen to do it as a subscription, that's fine. We'll make sure that that money goes to him. But as you know, some of this money goes to Twitch. So we would rather that you would use the GoFundMe link versus going through Twitch. But if all you can do is go through Twitch, no problem. Wickstrom's name is spelled, Grizz is spelled WYKSTROM, Wickstrom. Dingleberries just put it in. Thank you, Dingleberries. He just put it in. Hey, Techmar, good to see you. Good to see you. So let's go ahead and look at ISC, and then we're going to come back and do the little piece with Disco Lando.
Inventory management at its core is player experience.
We focus a lot on the usability and how it felt.
Game development is definitely an iterative process. There's no one who writes a design doc and then a few weeks later produces a finished feature or game and says, "Oh, that worked, guys. Great. What's next?" A couple of releases ago, we released Inventory at its first iteration. When we come to release things, it's not always at a stage where we're ready to go 100%. It's not 100% polished, but we still need to provide something so that the base functionality of that feature that we've requested is provided. But the benefits of it may not be obvious to the players when they're playing it, but it's immense for us because we get feedback. If you guys play something and you hate it, then us knowing that early on is so much better than finding out, a year down the line when we've put a year's worth of work into it. In the next iteration, the feature is being iterated on to allow players to interact with inventory outside of themselves, and that's going to be with a new user interface.
So the inventory is still accessed the same way as it was previously. The player can either go to the personal inner thought and click on the inventory slot, or then press the keybind that by default is Y. And that will bring the inventory screen. On the left side of the screen, the player will see the different containers that currently has equipped. These containers can be equipped through the PMA, like before. And then every time an item is stored, they will be stored on these containers. Within these screens, the player can see the current capacity, which currently container is being used, because previously you didn't have access to that. And then the player has access to all the inventory management functionalities, that being drag and drop between different containers. It can stack items of the same type. It can split, because by default an item of the same type is stacked together. So it can split some of them, switch part of them to another container. And then, of course, you can access to the contextual menu of the item and then have the same interaction you had previously that are available for that item, that being carry, drink, equip, and so on.
The tech that makes this feature possible is building blocks. I'm sure you've heard a bit about that over the past few months. It really has revolutionized the way we develop the UI, and I think it's uncorked a bottle, allowing much more to be done, which is great. In terms of one of the things that we're not quite happy with yet is the holo shader. It looks great on some of the objects, so some of the commodities look okay, but there are others, say like a bottle of water or whatnot, it just really doesn't pick out the detail enough. So that's something that the graphics team and the UI tech team are working together to give us an improvement on. When it does, I think it's going to make a big improvement.
With this iteration of the inventory, you can also have the possibility to access inventories that are external to the player. So currently, the use case we have is the green rock.
The intention is to allow you to interact with things outside of your character and then interact with the inventory within that. So if you're wandering around with your multi-tool lasering rocks and your inventory is getting full, you can just go and dump the contents of your backpack into the back of your green rock instead. Future releases, we're definitely going to see a lot more using this feature. What I'm personally looking forward to is, I already enjoy making corpses, but at some point I'm going to be able to start riffling through them and seeing what's in their inventory as well. And that's really exciting.
Having the right tool for the job and being able to find it effectively and quickly among your inventory will become more and more important as the variety of locations and situations a player can find themselves in continues to expand in each and every patch. And to continue this theme of
Okay, I'm going to stop there for a second and get you guys' thoughts. Mazzlecast, any thoughts about this new inventory piece with building blocks?
Well, I confess that I was thinking they'd have come up with a solution that was slightly less video gamey, but I can't really criticize because I don't know what that would have been, and ultimately what they are showing there is like light years better than anything we have now.
Okay, fair enough. Colossal, what about you?
Well, that's that new inventory tech, right? That they were talking about a couple of Star Citizen shows ago, that they were talking about, the different types of, for example, you put one size in there and you see the different sizes of the inventory that you put in there. And you saw that. You saw that you had one item that was one size, another item that was one size. So this is that implementation of it, looks like. I mean, it's interesting to see that now. And it was quite interesting to also see that you not only just had a backpack, but you had a chest and a leg inventory slot. So it's going to be interesting to see how much SCU or how much K, whatever they call it, to go ahead and put in those slots. But it's nice to see that they're trying to implement that system, or starting to implement that system.
That is true. It is actually really cool that they're like doing kind of like a pocket-like system. So, it's not just one large inventory screen. It's, like, what do you got in your backpack? What do you have like on your immediate person, etc. That's pretty cool.
Gigi, what about you on the inventory?
I mean, listen, anything that gives me more space to hold food and water so I don't have to constantly be You know what I mean? Dropping down out of the middle of nowhere, trying to find food and water. Uh, I like the food and water aspect of the game. I wish that they had fleshed it out a little better before implementing it.
Mm-hmm.
Because as
True.
it stands, it's just a mess trying to get everything you need when it's so spaced out. And 9 times out of, without persistence, I'm constantly buying stuff that's gone the next time I log in. Or I don't know. I am happy about having the inventory system. I'm hoping that they flesh it out more. I'm hoping it gets better. It looks like it's going to be better. So,
Okay.
we'll see how it goes.
I don't know, Gigi, if you remember this. We had started playing Scum, and Scum's inventory was just like this. I don't know if you remember.
Yep.
Depending on the size. Oh, Colossal, you played Scum too? Yeah, because depending on the size of your
I
item,
didn't,
it occupied.
but I watched people play it.
Yeah, it occupied a certain space.
It occupied a certain amount of space in the pocket that you had.
And you can also use that size ratio to also deal with weight too. So that's the one thing I do like about it. It does kind of, you have to sit there and look at how much stuff you think you can put in. In 7 Days to Die, we had something that allowed us to do what you mentioned, Colossal, or somebody mentioned, maybe Mazel, about how you could have different pockets or layers where you could put things too. It didn't all just have to be in a backpack. So I do like the fact that they're expanding out what you can carry throughout your uniform. I think that the community is going to kind of flip a little bit. Their psyche's going to flip. Because we've been used to having the bag of holding, the infinite bag of holding for so long. And I'm curious as to when people start realizing, and again, we always talk about how Chris puts things in the game and people think they're cosmetic, but when you wake up in your hab and there's a gun rack and there are dressers and there are closets, and when you go on your ship, there are gun racks and lockers and closets, there's a reason for that. And people aren't going to be able to carry their heavy cold suit and their heavy hot suit and their best armor all at the same time, I don't think, So I'm really curious to see how that's going to pan out over time,
Right, and Techler asked the question, do you have to hold the F button in order to, still move things around in the inventory and stuff like that? And the answer is no. You'll press I for the inventory and the screen will pop up. You won't have to worry about pressing F. And you can use your cursor to go ahead and move things around. So that's a nice little plus.
Okay. Gotcha.
Dude, I would trade my infinite bag of holding for this new system in a heartbeat if it meant I didn't have to do everything through that clunky mobiGlas interface.
Point well made. Point well made. We've got another guest that's jumped in with us, Admiral Kusanagi. Hey, Admiral, how are you?
Welcome.
Is he there? Oh, I think he's.
I think I'm here.
There he is. How you doing?
I'm kind of here. Once in a while, I'm here. I'm doing okay.
Good. So, what are your feelings about the new inventory?
I think it's great. I mean, it's certainly a step forward to what they're looking to do. Like you guys are just talking about, it's a little bit like Scum, and I actually enjoy the way they have it. So we'll see what happens.
Absolutely. Red Wolf, are you here commenting, or are you just here?
Yeah, I can comment if you can hear me.
Yeah, we can hear you.
I think it's a good idea. It's just it's time they did something that we could, manipulate stuff, because we're getting so much stuff to carry.
Yeah, absolutely. One of the things that I know I started doing recently, I was doing some missions with someone the other day, and I started putting, like, when we do a mission at a bunker, I'm grabbing guns and putting them in the racks on my ship. I'm trying not to have to buy all these guns. But I put a few extra ones on there so that in case if someone else in my group needs a gun, I can tell them to go to the armory and there are weapons there. And I really appreciate it now because the NPCs have a variety of different weapons and not just, what was it, the P8s they had originally or P4s? Now they're carrying shotguns, they're carrying all types of stuff now that you could now, if you kill them, take that stuff and put it on your ship. But of course you can't keep all that stuff in your inventory, so it's just something else that I think is pretty cool.
Well, now
Is it being persistent when it's put on the ship? If you put the ship away, is it still there?
It's persistent. In fact, talking about persistence real quick, and Mazo, I'll let you jump in right after this. I was talking with Meerkat the other day, and he told me, and I didn't know this, I jokingly said, wow, I'll be glad when we can keep our water bottles and our food in the refrigerators. And Mir said that he has done this several times, where he'll take his water bottles and sit them on the counter on his ship, and they stay there. When he comes back, they're still sitting on the counter. So even though the refrigerators aren't working, he says that worked. He says he's done it several times. So, maybe persistence is getting better and we just don't even know it. Mazza, what were you going to say?
Well, first and foremost, I was going to say that like the dev in the video was mentioning, the looting aspect is going to be huge, and once we're actually able to sell the guns that you're looting off of people and stuff like that, it's going to make a huge difference. But with respect to persistence of stuff you're putting down in your ship, as far as I understand it, the persistence in your ship is a lot more reliable than persistence elsewhere in the servers. I constantly hear Paul from the Astropub talking about like how frustrating it is that he puts down a bottle and it just disappears a moment later. I really, really hope that we see like iCache and stuff like that sooner rather than later, because it sounds like that'll be the real linchpin in true item persistence and stuff like that, because the data for where you put that bottle down, regardless of whether or not it's in your ship, will be stored on a separate server other than the game server.
We're getting there, hopefully soon.
I really hope so. I'm you know what, like, I'm crossing my fingers because they keep talking about iCache and I keep thinking like it's got to be close. I mean, they say it's closer to the end now than it is to the beginning, right? But I'm really crossing my fingers and hoping it's something that we see by the end of the year. I really think that that's this game really needs iCache, to be in, preferably by the end of the year. If we want to see any new gameplay, people talk about server meshing holding us up and stuff like that, but I really think it's iCache more than anything.
Absolutely. I mean, I think the two kind of go hand in hand, and I think to your point, most people are predicting that if not 3.11, 3.12, but before we get to 4.0, because of what it does, just because of what iCache does. If 4.0 is a big leap, and whatever that leap is, whatever it is, it's introducing more of something into the game, and they have definitely told us that they have pushed the servers and everything to where they could be. But in order to introduce anything else big, you've got to have the inventory, that iCaching, that's got to come in no matter what. So
yeah, absolutely, and ultimately, like a lot of the issues we have right now with the current inventory system, where it takes so long to change your armor and change your weapons and stuff like that. Like, that's not going to get easier with this new inventory system. It's still going to take that long until they can get iCache in and we can start kind of having those changes. Utilizing a system that isn't so clunky and isn't so dependent on how bogged down the server is.
Yeah, good point. Techmer, we hear you. Yeah, there's been this weird delay that's popped up recently where when you want to change your uniform or change your armor, that there's this huge lag or delay. Sometimes it lasts up to maybe 20 seconds before whatever you're wearing pops on. In fact, you may come out of your Moby and look at yourself and you say nothing's changed, or I have nothing on, or whatever. I don't know what that new desync is or lag that's popped up, but they're aware of it and people have been posting about it. And don't worry, that whole running outside without your helmet on, welcome back to the good old days. There was a day when all of us used to do that all the time, and I know it's frustrating when it happens. Okay, let's go ahead and get to the second part here of Inside.
Oh, the places you'll go. Here's another locations-themed sprint report. Let's get to it.
Upper Shaft, thank you for the
follow.
Cargo
decks will arrive with the upcoming Alpha 3.11, and we'll be taking an in-depth look at what went into building them next week, let's jump ahead now to the current progress on their industrial sibling, Refinery decks. Now, currently in Greybox phase, the team has recently completed a first-pass sprint on what we refer to internally as world building. That's where artists go through and begin to set dress the location with anything appropriate from our existing library of assets, while at the same time making a shopping list of desired items to be created by their very best friends, the props team. Along the way, they also took a look at the smelter drums, one of the key visual reads within all refinery decks. They were reading a bit simplistic before, so a pass was done to improve them with a few soft surface elements used to create a nice, discernible breakup in the overall shape language. Jumping back to Alpha 3.11, public roadmap watchers may have noticed the recent addition of several new feature sets to our existing locations.
Okay, I'm going to stop there for a second because there's a lot to take in here. And I want to go to Gigi first because Gigi is about that paper. Two things, cargo and refinery. Which one of those excites you the most? Because you like doing both, actually. Which one are you looking forward to? Or both? Refinery.
Yes.
But, go ahead. No, go ahead. Finish telling me.
Oh no, I'm definitely looking more forward to refinery, but I'm into both. But I'll take a refinery first immediately, like yesterday, please.
That's your main means of income is going to be through mining.
Yeah.
Okay, fair enough. Red Wolf, which one are you looking forward to, cargo or refinery?
And it don't matter to me.
Well, I think you got to reconsider that because you want to do something in particular in the game, and I think the refinery is going to lend itself more to what you want to do, won't it?
Well, yeah, it sure would, but I'm going to have parts from somewhere, and I can't make parts.
Mm-hmm. Well, parts is part of it too, but you're also doing repair, right?
Yeah, that's the main thing is repair.
Okay, all right. So you're going to need people who are going to be using that refinery at the very least to create ores and metals and all that other good stuff. Colossal, what about you?
Well, it shows you the love for the Orion, right? So I'm also interested in the cargo because, I mean, I don't want to say spoiler alert, but this could signify some hint of the whole series coming in game. With these two stations having those cargo areas. So, I mean, I'm interested to see how they're going to utilize it, but this has to be a good sign for the whole series.
Okay. Admiral, how about you?
Like Gigi, like I'm big into like the mining, so I think refining is going to be a great aspect of the game. I will say it doesn't have to be part of a mining org. You could have just some orgs that just do refining, and that's it.
That's it.
They subcontract out. But like Colossal was just saying, like the Hull series is like a huge check mark on Star Citizen's progress. And like for instance, I don't know why we don't have the Hull A. Like Hull A should be like it seems like the Hull C is like kind of like their staple, and they're gonna go up and down from there. But I figured like the Hull A should be like the first one they release.
Yeah,
interesting.
Good point. Mazzo, how about you? Which one of the two, cargo, refinery?
Well,
or not interested.
No. Actually, I'm definitely more of a space trucker than I am a miner, though I do enjoy mining. But the reason I'm gonna say the refinery decks is because I don't think that the cargo decks are going to come with their accompanying gameplay in 3.11, which is unfortunate because I actually think if you were to look at it as to which edition would add more to gameplay in the verse overall, I would say that if cargo decks were coming in with their full functionality, that would be a more major shakeup to all sorts of gameplay in the game right now, more than the refinery decks are. But like I was saying, I don't think that's going to happen. I don't think we're going to get cargo deck functionality in 3.11. I think they're just going to be there so you can walk around them. And as such, I do think that we will get the gameplay associated with the refinery decks. So that is kind of the one that I'm looking forward to the most, because I think that will add some really interesting aspects to mining gameplay.
Okay, fair enough. Did I get everybody? I think I did, right? Yeah. Okay, my 2 cents. We've talked about this a little bit on the show before, but I think it could lean itself in 2 directions. One of them is that obviously CIG has been working on the whole mining career, and adding the refinery or the Orion, either one of those will starting to close that gap on what mining means in the game. So the refinery, even though that's 312, we can see where that's going to lead. For 311, though, they're starting to introduce cargo in a better and bigger way. Some of you guys have already heard the rumor that in Ivacati right now in 3.11, that the constellation Taurus has shown up on the ship monitors. The ship is not in the game yet, but they've put the Taurus in, and the Taurus is definitely a cargo ship. We saw, as I think Colossal, someone mentioned earlier about the docks now. The docking is coming in, and you can see that being introducing for the Hull C. We know that the grid issue is the only issue with the Hull C, but the ship itself has been done for a while. Most of it, at least, has. So you can start seeing how cargo is going to start becoming the next thing that they're going to possibly introduce into the game. They did say that this iteration of the cargo decks is just the beginning. There's not a lot there. So to me, it's kind of like they're ending one career or wrapping up one, starting to spool one up, and the other one they're kicking off. And I think that's why these two are kind of right next to each other. We do know that they have made modifications to the space stations because of these two decks. I think the space station now actually has 3 different decks. There's a deck called the Galleria, which is where food and stuff is. Then there are decks for like the cargo deck and also I think Habs or something like that. I don't know all the details. But anyway, that's the gist of that. So let's keep going. Let's see what else we got here.
Including updates to our geology library so that they'll use the new organic shader, updated ground textures using enhanced scan data, improved tessellation and displacement of scattered objects across the surface, and, as we've discussed in the past, an overall general advancement of the painting tool that utilizes all of these new features in newly dynamic and interesting ways.
Spades, thank you for the host. We appreciate that. 19, thank you. Welcome, guys.
Daymar with these new tools to update the rock sets and remove some of the more, let's call them potato-looking rocks that could be found before. And for these new rocks, conversion to use of the new organic shader means they'll look and feel more natural than ever before.
Thanks, Spades.
Now below the rocks, nearly 100 new scan terrain surfaces have been implemented for use on all the planets and moons of the Stanton system, seen here through the increased detail found in the sand and gravel of Daymar. Now once each area is repainted with the new tools, the process of validation begins, where folks will have to comb through the various terrains to make certain all the blending is as it should be and the material assignments are correct. Overall, it's useful to test these new features out on existing locations that everyone involved is super familiar with before they're eventually integrated into the new planets and moons of the upcoming Pyro system. Speaking of which, it's been a while since we've checked in on the team's progress, so here's a look at some explorations currently underway on one of the moons orbiting Pyro 5. Now, these explorations are typically done to see how far we can push current tech and asset packs before anyone goes and makes something new that may or may not be needed. And what you're seeing here is a second pass exploration like that. Now after the initial round of feedback, there was a feeling amongst the team here that it seemed a little too much like Red Daymar, which is understandable as early work in this phase is done expressly with existing asset libraries and tech. So the specific efforts of this second pass here were a push to bring out more of the dried, crumbly volcanic aspects of the moon's surface, while adding a few new additions to the asset library here and there. Now, once the new painting tool improvements have finished their trial runs on Stan's existing planets and moons this quarter, and been put through the paces by players in the upcoming Alpha 311, and after first passes have been completed on all the other planets and moons of the Pyro system, the team will return to this moon and continue to push it in new and exciting ways. Even in these early states, you can bet we'll be back to check in on its continued evolution as it makes its way into the Star Citizen persistent universe. Finally, several weeks ago we showcased some initial concept explorations for homesteads.
I'm going to make a quick stop there real quick. The environment. Any thoughts or feelings about what we've been seeing? Have you guys seen any improvements in the environment to you? They look better, look worse, like them better the way they were? Any thoughts? Colossal?
It leaves more to be desired because I'm still waiting on the sun tech to come in for Pyro. I'm waiting for those solar flares and stuff. So, I mean, I haven't seen that yet. I mean, it's nice that they're still putting another VTech, I guess, on the ground and the rocks, so you won't see the same type of rocks all over the place.
Okay.
I mean, that's interesting, but the first thing I said when I saw this was, okay, where's the bio? Where are the animals? Where are the snakes?
Oh, you're looking for some fauna to pop up.
That was the first thing I was asking. Where
The
the
devil
creatures
is
that
a
we
lie,
can go ahead
sir.
and get, so we can go ahead and use at least some type of resources or something.
Y'all
I'm
really
waiting
want
for
me to
that.
never get off the ship, I see.
Mazzo, what about you? What about the environment? How's it look to you?
Well, I don't know. I'm a nerd, so whenever I see these like sorts of like additions to the Planetech and just like how much more detail they're putting into the geography, how much it seems to suit the environment, and how it looks like the erosion patterns would actually happen in that particular situation and on that planet or moon. I don't know, like it just looks better and better to me. It makes me quite excited, even though this is relatively generic kind of barren moon that we're seeing. The textures and stuff like that just keep looking better and better. The rock distributions look better and better. I really hope that this results in more like, bare sandy patches on Daymar, so we can go ripping around in cyclones and not be, smashing ourselves up all over the place and stuff like that too.
Agreed. Because the other day I was on Daymar, and for just coming through atmosphere was already such a time. It was yellow. Everything was completely yellow. You could see nothing that was happening. It was just blowing yellow.
Oh yeah, you're in a sandstorm.
Yeah. And then you finally, you get down, and you're just trying not to slam into every rock everywhere.
I did notice that last week we went on and we were on Crusader, was it? No, I mean, where were we at? I forget where we were at. We were at Microtech. We were in a nice area of Microtech. And, or was it Hurston? I forget. Wherever it was, one of the things I've noticed is that the bigger rocks, they have lowered them. They're not as big all over the place like they used to. So that, because there was a comment about now the vehicles can get around better and not have these huge obstacles hitting them. So I haven't checked a couple other places, but I know wherever we were, we noticed that it was a lot different. And it was also much more greenery, way more flora. I don't know if you guys have also noticed that the colors have gotten richer. And the stuff they showed us in these videos on Pyro show deeper, richer colors now, which means that they are expanding the spectrum of what they're putting out here in graphics.
And if you look at actually the picture that you have up on screen right now, like this is one of the moons in Pyro they're showing, and I like the touch where they're dimming the light and they're making it more that red tint, because Pyro's star is a like a variable red dwarf, which means that the light levels in that solar system hopefully are going to be much lower. It's going to be much dimmer on the planets, much more of a red coloration. Yeah, I hope they keep going with that.
Yeah. Red Wolf, any thoughts about the environment looking good to you, or things you want to see different?
Shoot things. Where's the space cows to shoot?
Okay, Red, you're far away from your microphone, or your microphone's doing something weird. I don't know what it is, but we can barely understand.
He says space cows.
Oh, space cows. Oh, okay. So he's like you. He's looking for fauna. Okay. Admiral Kusanagi.
They put exactly one animal on this game, and I promise you it's a rat.
Well, that could be the first one in the caves. You never know.
I don't go in the cave, so I'm completely unbothered, because I will never be caught dead in them caves.
It could be like the ones from the stink swamp from what was that? What's that with the?
Sorry about that. I'm here now.
I'm talking about with the Princess Bride.
Princess Bride.
Yeah, see the Princess Bride, giant rats,
rodents of unusual size.
Yes,
Listen,
yes,
honey. Yes. No, I don't do rodents of any size.
Maybe Master Splinter's in there. You never know. He's just pooping all over the place.
Master Splinter, listen, okay, where's the flamethrower? Give me my flamethrower. If I got to deal with a rats of unusual size, I need a flamethrower. Post haste.
Okay.
Atmosphere. So I think it's coming along pretty good. Correct me if I'm wrong, but can you see rainbows coming through atmosphere through rain yet?
No, in fact, we don't even have rain yet. We have condensation on the windows when we're flying in, and we've got
Okay,
the
so it's
snow.
not officially rain.
Yeah, it's not
okay.
officially rain. Yeah, that is something though that they were working on supposedly. They talked about the different weather effects, and I know rain was one of the ones that they were looking for. Rain, fog, and I forget there was one other one they said that they were going to do. It might have been the sand stuff. I don't know. But right now, when we do get that water, that's when you're flying in, it's more condensation than it is a rain outside. So. Okay, and listen to the last
river.
Oh yeah. If we start
Rivers
getting
and lakes
rivers,
and
oh my God,
waterfalls.
that'll be awesome. Absolutely. Listen to the last part here.
Finally, several weeks ago, we showcased some initial concept explorations for homesteads, frontier housing to be found out in the wilderness areas of undeveloped planets and moons. And there were a lot to choose from. So the next step has been to turn some of those 2D sketches that we really liked into 3D sketches in Blender to further explore the shape language, to see these things from as many different angles as possible, and to begin to build out a library of kit bash options for us to play with. At this stage, one of the main things we're looking for in fleshing out this colonial architectural vibe visually is that it looks like it can survive in many different climates, perhaps with a patchy motif that indicates generations of use instead of the outright replacement of components that could keep them looking newer. As far as shape language, these efforts will also be used to help us land on a specific direction of cubical, conical, spherical, or some mix therein. Like most concepts, these visual explorations are just as important in figuring out what we do want as determining what we do not. Also under consideration are the materials that would be used to make these structures, as there's a desire within the team here to make the materials found in the walls or rooftops appear as if they were sourced from the planet where any homestead is found whenever possible. Overall, this is one of the most enjoyable periods for any concept artist, a time where it's more about exploring primitive forms and building shape relationships between core elements, researching traversal options and how they'll settle within the environment around them, and perhaps most importantly, working hand in hand with system designers to identify all the necessary gameplay components and the relational hierarchy necessary between them, so that when development of this feature really kicks into high gear, we'll all be creating something from the ground up that can build upon and utilize the full complexity of the resource generation and item control system we discussed last quarter on Calling All Devs that is currently in development for ships, vehicles, and space stations alike. So what did we learn about this week? Well, we learned that with iteration, it can be used not only to solicit player feedback.
Okay, I'm going to stop right there, and I want to go back to that last closing shot there. Gigi, any thoughts about the homesteads, the houses? We went from the sketches a month ago. Now we're actually seeing some designs that they did. What did you think of what you saw?
I'm actually pretty excited for the homesteads. This is exactly the kind of gameplay that I like to do, kind of base building and off somewhere on a moon minding my own business. So this is everything that I want.
Yeah.
Very, very excited. Really hoping we get it sooner rather than later.
Okay. Colossal, let me throw a question at you. Is this a sign leading to the Pioneer? Or is this long range, like way down the road? Or is this something that they're actually saying that, within let's say within a year's time? Because, we saw when the Rock commercial came out, they used a homestead with a family. We've been seeing bases just mostly for science and mining. But in that particular trailer or commercial, they showed a family that was residing in a place. Do you think they're kind of starting to move in that direction? Because people do own Pioneers. People did pay for real estate. Right now, it could happen even in Stanton. Stanton's pretty big. What are your thoughts?
I mean, it could be. I'm encouraged by the many features that they have for the drawings, but I guess the only thing that I would be confident with in talking about the Pioneer is how are they going to? When are they going to go ahead and put in any types of gameplay dealing with deposits that you have to use to create a certain module? Okay, the refining. I mean, we see they got refining tanks and things like that. I mean, all that stuff leads to you creating a power supply or creating a quantum drive, which obviously leads to creating stuff for giving stuff to the pioneer, so the pioneer can go ahead and create that. So it's encouraging to see that. But I guess before we can even talk about the pioneer, we have to talk about the gameplay of people being able to create from the deposits that they're able to refine and things like that. So this is a step, but this is probably further down the road.
Okay. Admiral, let me throw two questions at you. I'm going to put this tick because Colossal kind of went down the road I was thinking.
I'm getting a piece of paper. Okay, hold on.
No, you'll get it. Don't worry. No, he was just talking about refinery, right? Because we know refinery is scheduled for 3/12, right, at the end of the year. So again, if we project a year later, if refining of ores is starting to kick in, does that lead the way to the resources that would be needed for that gameplay that Colossal just talked about for a ship like the Pioneer to build?
Oh, absolutely. Because you have to go from look at WoW. I mean, any other MMO, you go from like an ore, and then you build up like a bar of whatever, and then you make it into a sword or, armor plating. It's kind of the same thing. I just got to find enough gold so I can make toilets.
Okay, fair enough. Fair enough. Mazzo, what about you? Give me some thoughts either on about what you saw as far as the homesteading, or any thoughts you think about timeline in the sense of how real is this coming into fruition in the game.
Well, that was going to be my primary comment here. One, these look friggin' amazing, and with respect to actually even the previous topic where we were talking about where Colossal and them were mentioning that they wanted to see the fauna on planets and stuff like that. I think having small settlements dotted around a planet or moon would go a long way to making it feel a lot more alive. Ultimately, even if there's just a few derpy NPCs wandering around them. But with respect to like kind of timelines and things like that, I think you guys are getting a little ways ahead of this, and I think we are going to see just randomly generated settlements probably way before we see any sort of base building or something like that. So I think more what we're seeing here is what we're going to see in the short medium term as they develop their planet tech and their like outpost generation tech and stuff like that, and less what we might see later on down the road when we get the Pioneer in there and land claim gameplay and stuff like that.
Okay. Red Wolf?
I got to bow out of the question because I'm in the chest zone.
Oh, okay. All right.
Now, did we not see the Pioneer in some of the Squadron 42 videos or something that looked like the Pioneer?
Well, what you saw was the Shubin mining facility, and it's modeled after that. I know everybody, when they catch it, that's the first thing, because it came to my mind the first time I saw it too. But it wasn't until I saw an undershot version of it that facility is actually, the shape of the ship is designed almost identical to the actual facility. And I want to go on something that Mazzo said. I agree with you 100%. I think obviously we are going to start seeing those settlements before we are able to get it. But this is what I will say. To me, this lends itself more toward what we'll start seeing in Pyro. That's why I said at least a year from now. Because, as you just mentioned, with Pyro being the type of place that it is for the folks who are trying to be away from everything in society, where, and not that you can't have these in Stanton, you can, but I definitely can see these type of bases or small places scattered throughout a place like Pyro where possible. I know some moons are uninhabitable, but there are some places where places like this could be set up. The other thing I had a concern about is the design of these, because some of these buildings are fairly large, which says that they're not Pioneer built buildings. The smaller ones, maybe, we saw some that were more rectangular, but like the one we have on the screen right now, definitely don't see that as being something that the Pioneer would be building.
You don't think so?
Nah, that's huge. Look at the ratio when they show people next to it.
Yeah, there's a little dude down there, sure, but the Pioneer is huge, man, and
it is.
And there's nothing to say it doesn't have like for example, even today we are 3D printing buildings. You know, I could very easily see the Pioneer as something having some sort of like 3D printing gantry arm or something like that would like print something.
There is a gantry on it, and it would be interesting to see if it works externally outside the ship. If it does, then absolutely. It could be done.
Yeah, because it's not wide enough to...
But I know, right, but the original speak was that there was modular, whatever, it was building modules. That's the only reason why I'm saying that. But who knows, right? Anything could happen in Star Citizen. You could be 100% absolutely right about that.
I will say there's like a rectangular one there, and it's got it looks like the fire station from Ghostbusters almost, and it has like a you know, an open area up top.
Oh,
if I could hire someone to build that thing right now and throw some wood siding on it, I'd be all set.
Dude, speaking of this, did you see Morphologist's video where he does like a little like
I saw that.
Yeah, we talked about his.
And it's basically like one of those little rectangles. Like the whole idea is it's like this modular like habitation thing that he built. It looks so cool.
And you can move it around and stuff like that. Yeah.
Yeah.
And again, you can see some of these designs here. Some of the buildings are smaller than others, so other ones are pretty large scope. And I do like what you said earlier, Mazzo, about they're actually this moving toward what would be settlements ultimately. You know, these little areas. It almost looked like a little Tatooine kind of thing, if I can find it here for a second.
Well, that last shot there where there was the desert shot, yeah.
Right. I was trying to get to it, but it's a little sketchy to get there.
Now, do any of you think something's missing from these? Like GreenEyedGyal, do you think something's missing from any of this artwork you'd like to see?
I think she said she was having audio issues. Gigi, can you hear us? Nope, I don't think she can because she's glossing. Yes. Oh, there she is.
Listen, okay, I cannot have chapped lips. I don't really know what you want.
Okay.
Priority.
Okay.
Priority.
Yeah, he was asking, is there anything that you thought was missing from like what you've seen so far with the settlements or the buildings?
I mean, I'd like something a little more oblong. I know it's right now we've really gotten just like kind of conical half spheres, you know what I mean? Or essentially we got circles and rectangles right now.
Yeah.
I'd like some octagons and, you know, some footballs. Give me something where I can really have a choice on the shape of what I'm wanting to do inside. Because what the shape outside is really going to dictate what you can put and how you can form things inside. So more shapes I'd totally be for.
That's a good question. The question that she made me think of was, okay, I don't expect us to be able to dig into the ground, but if you have a settlement, a house, will it have a basement?
Oh, yeah.
Interesting question.
I think they could probably do basement because like they can do bunkers, they can do caves and stuff like that. So dig out the ground, probably not, but basements and stuff like that, I don't really see any reason why not.
Just drop it in and it's there, so you don't have to worry about falling through stuff.
Exactly.
It'll also be interesting too if, as you do them as settlements, if they're vacated or can be occupied. In other words, if your org decides that you want to take that settlement, that can actually be your base without having to build one. You'd have to hold it down, you know, obviously. But it would be
and kill everybody in there.
Well, right, exactly. Maybe that would be the case where if you kill all the NPCs, you can keep it as long as you're occupying it. Or if someone else wants to come take it from you, it'll be interesting to see. Also, I'm kind of concerned and interested on what destruction will be like in this game later too. You know, right now we have things like we were just reading about the new security system where now you will be able to destroy the cannons that are protecting the rest and relax stations. But, you know, if there's something like this as a settlement, can it be destroyed? Or is it impervious and all you can do is just kill people inside of it? It'll be interesting to see what happens with that.
Correct me if I'm wrong, but they have said that Pioneer-built settlements will be destructible to a point. So I wouldn't be surprised if that kind of extended to these sorts of settlements as well. And with respect to taking control of them, it sounded to me like if you can take control of anything, you know, it's yours or it's your orgs, right? Like,
well, don't you have to put a land claim down?
Well, it depends on where you are. I mean, if you're outside of UEE space, land claims are worth so much toilet paper.
Right. And what I mean by taking over, that's why I said you have to occupy it. You know what I mean? I'm not saying that you have ownership of the land. I'm just saying you're an occupant on it. And you've got to make sure that you've got somebody there, because somebody else, when you're gone, might come in and decide they want to take it over. You know, it's just kind of curious to see. Go ahead,
I'm not sure they'll let you level anything, but I think certainly get to, like, you know, say something you'd be like 20%, and it would be just burned out and look like crap. And if you wanted to spend 5 million UEC to hire a contractor to repair it, you could do that.
Yeah, I think that sounds
a good question. He wonders if you'll be able to put turrets outside to protect it from looters.
Yeah, they've actually said that.
They said that.
Yep, they've talked about that you'll be able to have turrets outside to protect your places. Yes, absolutely.
I'm gonna buy like 5 Ed 209 and have them around.
Honestly, it's where I think the ballista will probably get a lot of its use.
I wouldn't be surprised. I really wouldn't be. Okay, well, listen, we want to welcome everybody who's here again. Thank you guys for hanging out with us tonight. Right now, we've got several people in the chat with us, and you can join us too if you'd like. We've got Red Wolf 1, we've got Mazelcast, and we have Admiral Kusanagi as our guest joining us tonight. But if you guys see the link pop up, Dark Knight, good to see you. You guys can jump into the conversation with us as well. As you can see, we have a good conversation together, even when there's 6 of us in the room. So we're doing pretty good tonight. We're going to cut for a second, and we talked about this earlier, that tonight we were doing a special recognition to Wickstrom. Many of you all know Wickstrom. He's been in the Star Citizen community for years and years and years and years. Some of you may have met him. Some of you may have seen him in his streams. We just found out recently that Wickstrom's health is failing. He's been suffering from cancer for the last 2.5 years. And so many of the people in the community are raising money to help his family. They have about $75,000 in medical debt that we want to be able to help them to alleviate. His mother's been taking care of him. She has not been working as she's been taking care of him, and he's in hospice at this point. So, if you want to contribute to that, there is a link that's popping up that will point you to the GoFundMe page. I'm going to put it in the chat as well. I recommend that you go through the GoFundMe page. That way, the majority of the money goes to them. If you decide to do a subscribe tonight or donate through us, we will make sure that money gets there. But of course, Twitch will take a percentage. So we are recommending that you use the GoFundMe page. In the meantime, as I mentioned, I met him in 2016 at the Test Squadron Barbecue, when we were there for CitizenCon. And some of you may know him or at least seen him on stream. I'm going to show a quick video that Disco put out that was to Wickstrom, just to let him know that the Star Citizen community really was impacted by him. Wickstrom helped so many people in the industry when we were in this community when we were first getting started, by helping people with graphics and just all types of great stuff. He's a real great guy. Let's take a quick look at that video, and then when we come back, we're going to go back and look at a machinima that we've got.
Maybe I should have cleaned up or something before I did this. I don't know if you're going to get to see this. I don't know if somebody will check, if somebody's checking Discord and will get to share this with you, or if you're well enough to see it, but I hope you are. I just want to say something real simple. Everybody else is writing something. I don't write things. I'm the video guy. You made your mark. You made your mark You affected the lives of those around you. I don't know what greater compliment I can give to a person. I don't know what other purpose there is in life other than you're cherished and you'll be remembered, and the fact that I'm here doing this, I'm not going to speak to anybody else. I can't speak for anybody else. But you made an impact, man. You represent to me the best of what we were. You know, in those early days, it was all potential, and you're absolutely part of that potential. Yeah, I didn't know you as well as I would have liked, and we talked on and off throughout the years, and you helped me put together the Wing Commander thing. Maybe I'll cut that in here. And you asked me to do the John Travolta thing for your stream, and I was happy to do that. And I think you had an emote on your channel for a while. This isn't about I don't know, man. I go through life day by day, and the only thing I ever hope for is that I've made some difference, that I've improved the quality of somebody's experience along the way. That's the only thing I've ever wanted in life. So I can think of no greater thing to share with you that you absolutely have had that effect on me. And fuck it, I will talk for other people. I know you've had that effect on other people. I absolutely fucking know it. So, congratulations, man. I don't know if this is supposed to be a sad time or whatever, but yeah. I'm proud of you, man, and I hope you're proud of the life that you led. I don't know all the details. I don't know 99% of the details. But in 1%, and maybe less than 1%, I don't know, some fraction of your life, of your existence on this place, you made a positive impact on me and others like me. So, thank you. Who knew I couldn't do a short thing, huh? Thank you, Wickstrom.
Can't hear you, Griff.
Thank you, buddy. I was probably come through the stream and not through the mic. I was saying that, one of the things that's great about is that when someone speaks well about your life, and Wickstrom is one of those people that everybody just seems to love and has been responding to. And we have just the greatest gaming community. I've seen us come together for people having their first baby. I've seen them come together. A few years ago, Fastcard has told us several times about how he wanted to come to CitizenCon, and his chair that he rides in was not working, and the community got together and raised money so that he could come and got him a brand new chair. And then even in this particular case where you have a family that has someone who is suffering, and the community is trying to do what they can to alleviate that. We've even done that for one of our friends here whose mother home caught fire. But our community has really been great in coming together to help people. And as I said earlier, we were around $2,700. They just opened this fund up. This was around 3 hours ago. They are now at $23,000 tonight. So that number has jumped by $20,000 just within the last 2 hours. So just want to tell you that if you'd like to, check the link that is in Discord. I'll put it in there again. And if you want to do something in the GoFundMe, I'm sure their family will appreciate anything that we give to help them. Let me hit this again. There we go. The link just popped up there just then. Take a look at it. There's some information there in relation to Wickstrom and his family. Again, anything that comes through us through Twitch tonight, we will definitely donate that money toward their family, but we do recommend that you guys utilize the fundraiser page on GoFundMe for Wickstrom. And we'll do this again probably on Sunday, just throughout the weekend, so that we can help their family reach their goal of $75,000. So that's all I'm going to say about that. Again, if you guys want to join us, we have a secret word tonight that no one in our chat has said yet. But if you say the secret word, you get some Soul Citizen swag. And so, but you have to be in the room with us. You can't say it in the typing chat. You've got to be in the room with us. So we want to encourage you to join the Discord. Come in, and we're going to not do Star Citizen Live this week. Mostly because for those of you who watched it, it was very techy. Did any of you guys watch it? Mazzo, Colossal, Admiral?
I think I did.
I was going to, but
yeah, make sure that you have like a lot of caffeine with you. It's a good show, but it's long. And it's basically about when they're uploading the different updates to the servers and all that stuff. So it was okay, but it was an hour long too, by the way. So we're not going to watch that tonight because it's late at night and half of you will be asleep when it's over with. So what we are going to do is you don't watch from the couch. You're right, Venom. Trust me, it's a sleeping pill automatically. What we are going to do is watch not a new one, but it's a machinima that I saw a couple weeks ago, and I was really impressed with it. I'd never seen it. It's been around for a little while, and the name of it is Letters from Vega, Part 1. Oh. And so we're going to take a quick look at that. Sit back, get yourself something to drink, enjoy it. It's very different, and then we'll talk about it when it's over with.
There was a time when I knew nothing of fear. A time when the greatest worry of my life was being taken seriously. Then everything changed. I was there when they came. But it was the beginning of the end.
Seriously, Kishi? You couldn't spring something better than a rusty freighter?
appreciate it, Kishi, really, but 5 systems and coach is a little much.
At least we get to see another system.
Well, if it's that rough, you could have paid for the upgrade yourself. It's not like you're hurting for money.
Oh, and what about Eddie? Should I just relegate him to the cargo hold?
Hey, keep me out of it. I'm just happy to be off Terra. I never get to go anywhere, so I'm not really complaining.
Oh, fine, whatever. We're almost there anyway, but you're gonna owe me a drink when I get back. And Kishi, thanks for the assignment. I promise not to mess up my first real story.
If it's good, I may buy you 2 drinks. Be safe, and good luck. Your father will have my head if anything happens to you.
Thanks a lot for the support.
Don't blame me. You dragged me into it.
So, what are you doing?
Testing the camera out with some shots of Eramis. It's a really beautiful planet with those rings and all that green. Take a look.
Wow. Hey, has that thing been on the whole time?
Yeah, why?
Eddie!
Amidst a heated debate over the proposed so-called militia tax, Neil was quoted as saying the citizens of Aramis are only too happy to pay their fair share to donate to the cause, but we will not accept an increase while Celine continues to harbour these self-styled dissenters.
State your business today, please, ma'am.
Dalen Cross, TSN. We're here to interview Colonel Crandall. We should be on the list.
Okay, one moment while I verify.
You two told him. Yes, sir. Chapter and verse. You drop out of quantum too close to the atmosphere, sometimes...
Okay, ma'am. You are clear to proceed. Down the road to the end of the hangars, then right.
Thank you.
HQ is the building with the tower.
Oh, this will make a great intro piece.
Yeah, a great example of military waste. All this equipment must be costing the taxpayers a fortune.
Well, the Vandal are right next door. You would expect them to have some real hardware here.
The Vandal haven't shown their ugly mugs for anything more than a small raid in decades. It's overkill.
Did you notice how everyone here carries a gun? They certainly don't think it's overkill.
Well, we are on the ass end of the verse
Those are really nice shots.
I always dreamed about flying one of those. Can you imagine?
That's provided peace of mind since 2738. It's knowing that we are ready and able to protect our families and friends. Our homes and our lives shouldn't need a ride. Reliable with no frills. It's a trusted friend who makes a clear statement. We don't care about being subtle. We care about being effective. Kastakar, defend your empire.
That's my taste right there.
When we get there, I want you 2 paces back and over my left shoulder. Left is my better side, so make sure that is the profile we get in all the shots that are in full front.
Okay, boss lady.
You must be Miss Cross. I'm Lieutenant David Ewing, public attaché for the base.
Pleased to meet you, Lieutenant Ewing. This is my cameraman, Eddie Daniels.
Hiya.
Nice to meet you as well. Please, follow me. I'll take you up to see Colonel Crandall.
Thank you, Lieutenant.
Mr. Daniels, you'll need to turn the camera off until we get to the Colonel's office.
Yes, sir. No filming for sensitive stuff. Check.
Just about ready?
Good to go.
Colonel, are you ready?
Yes, Miss Cross.
Okay, here we go. Hello, I'm Dalen Cross, and today we have a very special interview for you. For years, the debate over military spending has raged in the UEE Senate.
Currently, over 10% of the GDP for the Empire goes to defense. Many, like Senator Polo, have argued that this is excessive given our stable boundaries with the Xi'an and the Banu, the lowering incidence of piracy along major trade lanes, and the long absence of serious Vandal activity. Others, like Admiral Bishop and Senator Hartwell, whose homeworld Selene is on the front line of the Vandal frontier, have argued that this is just the calm before the storm. Today, we are at the new Corvo Naval Base, speaking with the man in the hot seat, the commander of the UEE Naval Forces on Aramis in the Vega system, a decorated veteran, Colonel Bradley Badger Crandall. Colonel, thank you for taking time to speak with us.
Always happy to speak with the press, Miss Cross. We serve the people of the Empire, and they should know what is going on.
Colonel, let's start with the question that underlies all of this. Is there a real and present danger from the Vandal that would justify the lavish level of defense spending by the current administration?
That's a bit of a leading question, but the answer to your question is absolutely yes. The Vandal are still as dangerous as ever. Many in the more peaceful parts of the Empire hear of a Vandal raid on Selene or Aramis, and it's just a statistic to them. To us, it's loved ones and neighbors being killed or tortured, their homes burned and pillaged, and the promise of their lives snuffed out, and that still happens with alarming regularity. You see these? These came from a Vandal killed in a raid on Lucerus, a settlement east of here. It was burned to the ground, and every man, woman, and child killed or abducted, for God knows what purpose, about 6 months ago. You can still see blood on the visor from its last victim. I keep these here to remind me that the Vandal are always there, waiting in the darkness, looking for a chance to bleed and rob us. I fought the Vandal for 30 years in the 38th, and I learned just how cunning and patient they can be. Make no mistake, they are just waiting for their chance.
But what about the blockade of the Virgil jump point? How are Vandals slipping through with an army of mercenary and militia ships covering their only way into the system?
Well, we appreciate our civilian and contract partners, but they are no substitute for a proper UEE naval blockade. Captain Khan and the UEES Poseidon are out there with a small task force trying to coordinate things. But at the end of the day, discipline isn't the strong suit of most of the ships and crews holding the line. Holes are bound to open up, and space is a big place. There's also way more traffic going through the jump point than there should be. The descendants of Orion can't get enough of jumping to Virgil to beard the Vandal in their den, so we don't know if it's a friend or foe coming back until after they transit the jump point. One of these days they will go too far, and the Vandal will decide to put a stop to it. Mark my words, the Vandal are coming again, and right now we are not equipped to handle them.
That's pretty ominous. Moving to another topic.
Are the transports ready? Not yet, Captain. ETA in 3 minutes. Over. Roger that. On our way there now.
Order Echo, right down. 6 transports, en route.
Sensors indicate a massive quantum fluctuation at the Virgil jump point. Captain Kong reports a large Vandal fleet has entered the system. The Poseidon and the blockade forces have engaged the main fleet, but...
But what, Captain?
I need a vector. Now. Stand by, Captain. It's undetermined. Make your best guess.
Scramble all forces immediately. I want the bombers and vanguards out there holding the line. And get us some air cover. Have the reserve personnel prep anything that'll drive or fly. And start evacuating non-combat personnel and civilians from the city. Send a message to Admiral Bishop and inform him of our situation. All remaining personnel are to go to the armory and prepare for a ground assault.
Colonel, we have a video and tactical holofeed from the Poseidon.
Put it on the main screen.
Focus all batteries on that driller. Bring us hard starboard and fire.
Aye, Captain. Copy starboard.
Where are those damn Corvettes?
They should be here any minute.
Damage report.
All breaches on the engineering and crew decks. 2 shield generators have been destroyed. The hangar is out of commission, and we just took a hit to the reactor.
Engineering. How bad is the damage to the reactor?
The reactor controls and shielding are gone, son. The reactor's supposed to overload. We need to abandon ship.
How long?
Could go any minute. We're still taking fire.
Issue the order to abandon ship. All crews to the escape.
All hands. Abandoning your ship. Holy shit. It's get those birds aboard. Jump points lost.
Get these people out of here!
I need to get you both to shelter immediately. Get in the jeep.
Lieutenant, this is the biggest story of the last decade. Someone has to bear witness, and we are here with the cameras rolling. You can't just stuff us in some underground bunker.
Miss Cross, I have my orders and you are civilians. You will be in the way and at risk if I leave you out here. I cannot...
Lieutenant, David, I know you have your orders, but the Empire's citizens need to see this.
I do need to get you somewhere safe. The hangars on the other side of the base are armored and you can film a report on the ride over.
Thank you.
Even the privately owned stuff, it's all in play.
Come in. TSN, anybody, can you hear me? Oh, please come in. Damn it! No one is answering. The biggest story in decades, and I can't even get through to set up a broadcast.
I'm ready when they are.
Keep trying.
Blockade is reporting heavy casualties. A battle carrier is broken through an entered quantum on the trajectory for Aramis. Contact imminent. Yes, awaiting target vector. We got one shot, maybe two. Let's get to the coast. I want that undertone to Vandal scrap. Control 1, Arrow Green, acknowledge. This is Alpha 1. Roger, bring Arrow Green out. Splash on. Alpha 1, Porto, Minor, 6, acknowledge.
Well.
Okay, yeah. Let's see, Red Wolf?
More.
Okay, that's your thoughts? Okay. Mazzo, what'd you think of it?
I was really well animated. It looked like the face tech they were using was maybe a couple generations old. Honestly, I felt like even if they were using the current FOIP systems, they'd have probably got better facial expressions. But yeah, like really well done, like with the scenes, really well done, like with their story progression and stuff like that. Especially given obviously like limited assets, you know, and such to use. I thought that was really well done. Though I will say, and I'm gonna put on my conspiracy theory tinfoil hat here, just with respect to the Vanduul incursions in general. The one of the things, and Paul's kind of gone into this on some of his Galactic Historian videos. He talks about how ultimately the reason that humanity was attacked by the Vanduul in the first place was basically because we're trespassing on worlds that they frequent in their migratory routes. And with the latest like political stuff going on in the UEE right now, and the potential threats to like the cuts to the UEE Navy, I think in Squadron 42, here's my prediction. I think we're going to find out that it was humanity, possibly even Admiral Bishop, who baited this latest Vanduul attack specifically so that they could justify keeping military spending where it was. That's my tinfoil hat take.
Okay, fair enough. Admiral Kusanagi.
I gotta say, this is like the worst stream I've ever seen on Twitch because you stopped at like a great moment. I was like, no.
It wasn't my fault.
It was fantastic. I thought it was great. I was like, wow. At first, I wasn't sure what I was getting into, and I'm like, but this is turned into a really great piece of work by them. And I don't know. I imagine. I hope there's an additional one after this, but in their pipeline. But I thought it was fantastic.
Yeah. Well, this was put out in 2018 by Alex S189. And someone mentioned in chat that they think that this person may have went to go work for CIG, and it may have been the case. But it was 2 years ago, so I don't know. We'll see. But you could tell there was a lot of work put into doing that. Gigi, what'd you think of the machinima there?
I thought it was really, really well done. Very well animated, very well edited. I personally wouldn't have watched it if I hadn't seen it on the show.
Yeah,
that's not something I would have went looking for. Machinima, not usually my, the way I spend my time, but very good. Okay. Very good.
I see what you're saying. Yeah, you thought it was him. That's okay. Yeah, but he did. Whoever it was, he did great work. I think it was him and someone else who actually worked on this. And Gigi, like you said, I hadn't seen this until like about 2-3 weeks ago, and I thought I'd seen most of the machinima that's out there. I think Ops Chief mentioned in passing that he heard Meyer. If you look at the credits for this, it says that they ended up using some of the voices that did Bulkheads, and some of you all remember that was a series that ran about 3 years ago, and Meyer was one of the voiceover actors in that. And so the guys from Bulkheads were doing much of the voiceover work that was in this video. Colossal, what'd you think?
I mean, if I was going to go ahead and jump off of Maslow's theory, I mean, you could show that maybe somebody has connection to the missus. I mean, but I mean, well done. I mean, I'm all about storyline and lore, which I still have yet to see in the game yet, but I'm all about that.
Yeah.
And I mean, lore drives the game, and the more you can put this in, the better.
Yeah.
So it's interesting to see. I would love to see part 2. Is there a part 2 out yet?
No, I have yet to see it. If there is, I just said maybe I haven't stumbled across. I went to his site, his YouTube page, and there wasn't another part for it. Ops Chief made a comment in there, and he said, "There's Griff's tally." Let me tell you something. That last shot of the Retaliator when it was in VTOL mode, when it was nearly, that's going to make me unmelt that sucker. I swear, because it looked really good. The fact that they had, and I don't know if you guys saw the Vanguards when they were looking out the window when they were departing. I mean, whoever did this did a really, really good job considering.
Really good job.
2 years ago, and like you said, Colossal, this kind of definitely gives you an idea of where this could go story wise. I thought it was great when I first saw it. It was at the beginning I was kind of watching the interview and I'm like, where is this going? And then once it breaks off, it's like, okay, this is really, really cool.
I think if that person works with CIG right now, I think they would be crazy to not put their resources into making a part 2.
Yeah. Yeah, and you could see there was some of the older stuff that was in the game, the mechanics, like you saw when they were running in the flight suits. Those were the old ones that used to have the lights on the back of them. This is before we got all of the different armors that we have now for the flight suit and different flight suits, but it still looked good. Other than the facials, as Maslow said, it was definitely from 2 years ago. But in light of all that, the fact that they even had animated mouths before we even got VoIP and FOIP, I thought it was a pretty good work for them to pull it off. So thank you guys. I hope you all enjoyed that. Again, don't forget to hit that link for the fun that we're doing over the weekend. Several streamers are doing it, so if you don't catch it here, I'm sure Captain Rich is doing it. A lot of other people are doing it. But we do want to try to support Wickstrom's family as best we can. For those of you who can, give consideration to it. Check out the page, read the description on it. And we want to say thank you to, I'll let Gigi say thank you to all of our guests while I'm looking up who we're going to raid. So I'll put it on her.
we just want to say thank you to all of our lovely and wonderful guests who showed up to chat with us tonight, and for Colossal for showing up to do the thing. We appreciate you, buddy.
Yay.
You guys, remember that on Sundays we are always here doing Soul Citizens. Also, we have merch in case you can't see my lovely shirt here.
Woohoo! Yeah, we got our shirts. We got our shirts.
So we got shirts.
And we got our mugs.
Do you have mugs?
Pads. So definitely get your merch. And we will see you next Friday for Friday Night Live.
Yeah, Friday Night Live. And don't forget about
Hey, Griffin, can I ask you?
Yeah.
Can I put up one thing out there for everybody? And Star Citizen has taken so long to come out, and like we're witnessing now with this medical event, I think that it would be nice if SIG sometime in the future makes some type of memorial on some planet, like the memorial on Levski, and have the names of those people on something like that. I think that would be fantastic for people to look into.
That's a great suggestion. In fact, for those of you who play EVE, you know that EVE actually has a memorial that's placed out in space that you can go to and see, and it's a beautiful sight to see, and I think something like that in game really would be awesome. That's a great idea, Admiral, and maybe we'll have to get some type of post going. In fact, because of this thing with Wickstrom, this may be a good way to introduce that into it. So I think it's a fabulous idea. And for old coots like me who are getting old, I might be on that bad fella by the time this thing comes out. Who knows? But anyway, I think it's a wonderful idea, Admiral. It's a great suggestion. Yeah. So anyway, let's we're gonna go set up a raid. Oh, I was gonna say, I forgot, Gigi, to mention to you, for those of you who know Dig That 32, Dig That is going to be on with us this Sunday, and we're going to be, as you can see on the screen, we're going to be talking about cargo and starships. And you guys know Dig That is a very cool YouTube creator. He does great stuff. He's big into Elite Dangerous, but he has moved into the Star Citizen world, and he puts out fabulous stuff. So you guys, if you can, join us on Sunday. If not, as Gigi said, see us on Friday. We are going to try to set up a raid, and we're going to go raid Space Cutlet. So again, thank you guys for hanging out. Make sure you all give him a shout, say hey to him, and we look forward to seeing you guys next week or on Sunday. And what do we say, Gigi, was our final words?
Love, peace, and soul.
So we'll see you guys later. Have a good night.
Bye.